Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Mr. Derek, illustrator of Brudders books, and today we are going to draw a mermaid. Hey, I hope you guys are excited to follow along with me today. This is what my drawing looks like at the very end. I used a pencil to draw with and markers to color, but you guys can use whatever you have at home. Ready to start? All right, let's go. All right, welcome guys. We're going to start on our first step of our mermaid. I want to go ahead and draw the mermaid's waist. So can you guys find in the middle of the page, we're going to start and put in a diagonal line. I'm going to draw a little bit harder so you guys can see and put a little bit more pressure on my pencil. But you guys don't have to do that. You can draw a little bit lightly. And then we're going to put in the back side of her tail first. So I'm going to do a nice curve shape that's going to stretch out about this far. And then we're just going to come right back around and curve to the other side. So a nice curve, match up to our horizontal line here. So this is going to be her waist, and this is part of her tail. Now we need to add in her fins. So I always think of her fins, just the way I do these, is think about a flower petal. So from this corner, the first flower petal, I just want you guys to continue that line going up, around, and come back where you started. And then we're going to do one more on this side. So same thing, we're going to come out about the same distance as the first one, and we're going to come around and come right back where we started. Very easy, just like I said, reminds me of like flower petals. All right, awesome guys. So let's do her backside first. So she's going to be kind of arching her back up as she's swimming through the water. And I want you guys to go ahead and draw a nice curve shape that's kind of arching up. I'd say to about this high. And we can always add a little bit more if we need to. But we're going to start about right here. All right, and then I want to go ahead and add in her belly and part of her neck. So I'm going to come over here where her neck is. This is the top. We're going to make just a little mark. She has just kind of a thinner neck. And then I'm going to take this line and we're going to curve it down into our waistline here. So go ahead and start. I'm going to go slow here as I start to come around. I want to make sure as it curves, it's going to meet right into the waist. Just like that. Awesome. Okay. So I want to go ahead and add in her shoulder. So we're going to add in the shoulder of her arm that's going to be kind of dangling as she's swimming through. So I'm going to come a little bit below where our neck had stopped. And I am going to start right here, right below. And I'm just going to do a half circle shape, just like this. This is going to be where her shoulder is. And you can watch me do this first, if that helps. So from where our curve started on her shoulder, I'm going to come down just a little bit and make a little mark like that. This is going to be the back side of her arm first. And then I'm going to make another mark right below. See where her waistline is? I'm going to do a little dot right here, a little bit below. And then I'm going to go ahead and just connect those two together. So a nice straight line going right from dot to dot, just like that. Okay, so I want to go ahead and do her front arm too. So I'm going to do another dot just about that far over from her wrist. She has kind of tiny wrists. And then where we started with our nice curve shape for our shoulder, I want you guys to continue with this part of her body. And as we come down, I want you just to connect to that dot. So you can follow along her body and then just make sure it comes right into that dot. So we're going to use that line that we made earlier as part of her arm. Again, don't worry about those lines I'm running through. We'll erase those here in a minute. And then I'm going to go ahead and just finish her hand. So right here where we started on the top of her wrist, go ahead and draw a little hump for her palm. And then I'm going to curve out the other way. I'm not going to run into her tail yet. I'm going to keep that just kind of right underneath. And then I'm going to go ahead and circle around Nice curve shape back into her wrist. So this is almost like her fingers are just holding together as she's gliding through the water. Awesome, guys. This is looking great. So go ahead and take your erasers and just erase that inner line that we had that's kind of running through. That's running through her arm. I'm going to kind of draw that just to make it work. There we go. All right, this is great. So now you can start to see we have her tail, a little bit of her back area, her arms just dangling. And then I want to go ahead and put in her bathing suit top. So we're going to, again, start right at this top area where we had her curved shoulder. And I want you guys to go ahead and draw a line that comes out just a little bit, about right here. Nice diagonal line. And then we're going to just curve it back into her arm. See that nice curve back into her arm? And then this curve shape, I want you guys to continue that, but go ahead and just skip over her arm. And then I'm going to continue that line and wrap it around her back. See that? So that's going to be kind of like her bathing suit part where it ties in the back. And we got to do that. So we're going to do 2 little loops, 1 and 2. Okay, so I love this. Now I want to erase just a little bit of my neck. I think this backside is fine, but her front, I don't need it to be that long. I just want it to be just a little bit sticking out from her shoulder. So you guys can go ahead and do that as well if your neck's a little bit on the longer side. And then for the back, I think this is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and put in her ear real quick. So right where her neck stops past her shoulder, go ahead and draw almost like a full circle, but we're going to stop as we come back around to about that area. So again, this is just her ear that we're putting in that connects to the back of her neck. Awesome. And then we're going to start on this side of her neck now and draw in her face. So underneath this, we want to draw her chin. So go ahead and give me a nice angle about this far underneath her chin. A nice diagonal line like that. And then I'm going to start to curve around just a little bit. Just give it like a nice little curve shape. This is going to be kind of her cheek. And then I want you just to continue that. And we're going to go a little bit in angle, but just go up about this high. So we're starting to draw out her face. Great job, you guys. This is great. And then I'm going to come back over to her ear. And I want to draw in her hair that's going to connect over to her forehead. So let's start with just a nice little curve shape that just sticks out from her ear. This is going to be her hair. And then as we come up, I want you guys to go ahead and curve back around over to where you stopped on her face, like that. So we have a nice curve shape here and then down again. Almost looks like an S. All right, this looks great. So let's put in some facial features for her. So I'm going to go ahead and put in her nose real quick. A good place for it is to think about when we did our curve shape, and then as it starts to straighten out, right in the middle there, let's go ahead and put in a little button nose. So I have a nice little round nose like this. That's what I'm going to do. You can do your own nose if you like. And then for her eyes, I want to make it look like her eyes are kind of closed and she's just enjoying her swim in the water. And to do that, we want to make sure she looks like she has some long eyelashes. So right where her nose was, I'm going to come over in the middle of her face here. And I want you guys to watch me do this one first. I'm going to do almost like a smiley face. I'm going to press down just a little bit so she looks like she has thick eyelashes. And I'm going to stop about right there. So there's enough room on each side here to see this. And then on the back side of her eyelash, go ahead and come up a little bit and make a little curve at the top. And then the trick to make it look like she has her eyes closed, we're going to come back down and curve into our eyelash, but we want to make sure the eyelash is sticking out a little bit on its own. And what I mean by that is when I come down into a curve, I'm not going to go all the way to the edge of that line. I'm going to come inside that line just a little bit. And now this looks like her eyes are closed with some nice long eyelashes. Isn't that cool? And then to make it look like we can see a little bit of her eyelashes on the other side, I want you just to do a nice tiny little curve shape on this side of her. And then let's give her some nice eyebrows. And so the trick with eyebrows is when we draw them, we want to match the similar shape that we did here on this part of her eye. So since we have this nice curve shape, I'm going to come just above that and do that same curve shape above. Is that cool? And then let's give her a nice smile. She looks like she's definitely enjoying her swim. So I'm going to come in here and give her a nice little smile that kind of comes up towards her eye. Oh, that's cute. I like that. All right, so we are almost done. I want to add in her hair. This is my favorite part. Her hair is going to look like it's just waving through the water. It looks very peaceful the way she's swimming. So we want to continue that. Nice curve shapes with her hair. So I'm going to start just below the edge of her head here. And I want you guys to go ahead and give me a nice curve shape about right like that, just to start. And I want you guys to continue that curve shape all the way back here. So see, this is like a nice curve shape. And I want you to curve back the other way just a little bit like this. So we have a big curve shape here. And then as it curves back around, it's about half that size. Awesome. And then we're going to come back down behind her ear and connect her hair up there. So below her ear, I want you guys to do the same thing. We're going to start with a nice little curve shape just to start. See that? And then I'm going to start curving back out just a little bit, going the other way. All right, and then we are going to just take that curve and come back again and connect to our line where we stopped here. So we're going to come back around and do your best to just try to connect it right at the edge. And this is, I'm thinking of like, she's got a hair tie. So I'm going to just draw a couple little lines that just kind of curve around just to represent, a little hair tie. And then I want to have a little bushy hair kind of coming out of that. So from our little hair tie, I want you guys to go ahead and do a nice curve again about this size. And then we're going to go ahead and wrap around just a little bit. And I want you guys to repeat that shape, but even bigger, almost like how we did with our petals here for her fins. So I'm going to come just where we stopped. I'm going to come up, around, and then come back again just a little bit. And I'm going to do that one more time, but maybe just a little bit smaller. And then we're going to wrap back into her hair tie here. So I'm going to curve just a little bit around, and then I'm going to curve back up and back where we started. Isn't that cool? So it has a nice flow look to it with her hair. And then I'm just going to add in a couple little hairlines just to show a little bit of the flow of her hair. I always like doing this. So I'm going to do one little curve very lightly like that. And then I'm going to move over just a little bit and do that same shape and then kind of connect the two together. And then I'm going to do one more on this side. So we're going to do a nice curve shape like this. And then I'm going to do another curve shape coming in and connecting. Isn't that cool? And you can do the same thing even here. We can maybe even add just a little curve shape like this. And one more like that. Just to give some texture to the hair. All right, we did it. We finished our mermaid. This came out so great. I love the way she's just swimming through the water peacefully. But guess what we get to do next? That's right, we get to color it. My favorite part. But don't forget, you can always add more things to your drawing. I have this extra room down here, so I might add in some fish or some bubbles. We're gonna fast forward this part, you guys. So remember to pause the video, take time to color and finish up your drawing, and we'll see you guys at the end. Yes, we did it! We finished drawing and coloring our mermaid, and it came out super cute. I love the way I got to add a little fish swimming next to her and some bubbles kind of floating by. Coloring is always my favorite part, and I really enjoy doing that. Now remember, you guys can pause the video right now and match my scene coloring or color it any way you want. And remember, you guys can add anything you like to your drawing too. You can add in starfish, maybe an octopus swimming by. That's the best part. Whatever your imagination comes up with. Thank you guys again for watching. I had so much fun drawing this today. I hope you guys did too. I'll see you soon on the next video. Until next time, see you later.